7 things you are doing every day that are skyrocketing your diabetes risk. 1. You're still following the outdated pyramid diet. The most well-known version of the pyramid diet was the one developed by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1992. The guidelines advocate 6-11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, which form the base of the diet, refined high-carb foods. This means that it's basically a high-carb, low-fat diet. I have nothing against carbs. In fact, carbs from whole foods such as sweet potatoes, yams, taro, fruits, and legumes are incredibly healthy, if you don't have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Once you have one of these conditions, any high-carb food you eat will skyrocket your blood sugar levels within 30 minutes and will remain elevated, because your body is unable to metabolize the glucose, so it remains in the bloodstream. What makes it worse is that the pyramid diet's guidelines recommend refined carbs, which have been linked to diabetes, even in Asian populations where the consumption of grains has been in traditional Asian cuisines. So, if you want your blood sugar levels to go down, please avoid all refined carbs, especially grains. 2. Your diet is still high in carbs. Okay, so you ditch the refined carbs, and now you eat unrefined carbs instead, whole grains like brown rice, whole wheat bread, and roots and tubers like sweet potatoes, yams, and carrots. Then you discover your blood sugar is still elevated. Well, you'll never be able to get your blood sugar down and under control if you continue eating such high-carb foods. Let's take brown rice. Its glycemic index is 50 while the glycemic load is 16. These are all in the moderate range, which will still keep your blood sugar elevated. Let's take another whole grain, quinoa. Its GI is 53 with the GL at 13, all of which are also in the moderate range. Tubers and root vegetables are the same. Yam has a GI of 54 and a GL of 20, which is moderate and high respectively. Sweet potatoes have a GI and GL of 70 and 22, both of which are high. Carrots, on the other hand, have a GI and GL of 39 and 2 respectively, both of which are on the low side. So are carrots safe for people with diabetes? Nope. The GI and GL of carrots are low in their raw state. But once it's cooked, the GI and GL can skyrocket to 75 and 20. See what I'm getting at? To control your diabetes, you need to avoid all high-carb foods until your blood sugar levels are back to normal without medication. 3. You are using sweeteners and other forms of sugar. You have entirely avoided sugar and are using other sweeteners to get some taste into your cup of coffee or tea, and wondering why your blood glucose levels have not come down. If you're using artificial sweeteners, honey, or coconut sugar, your blood sugar will remain elevated. A study by the American Diabetes Association found that the aspartame breakfast induced a similar rise in glucose and insulin levels at baseline than the sucrose meal, even if the aspartame meal had the same taste, and was 22% lower in calories and 10% lower in carbohydrates, with an inferior glycemic index. Another study also by the American Diabetes Association reported that consumption of drinks with artificial sweeteners increased risks of diabetes by 67%, and metabolic syndrome by 35%. Yet a separate research animal study done in Israel found that artificial sweeteners promoted glucose intolerance by altering gut bacteria. So that throws the notion of artificial sweeteners being safe for diabetics out of the window. Now, let's move on to honey. Although some studies show that raw honey doesn't raise blood sugar as much as dextrose and sucrose, for folks with prediabetes, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes, I would suggest total avoidance as well. This is because the GL of raw honey is an extremely high at 169 because it is 82% sugar by weight and about 40% of that is fructose. Coconut sugar isn't much better either. It is made up of 70% to 80% sucrose, and 50% of sucrose is fructose, the other 50% being glucose. This makes coconut sugar 38% to 48% fructose, which is about the same as sugar. 4. You're still drinking fruit juice. Fruits are nutritious, so fruit juice is also nutritious, right? Wrong. In fact, nothing is further from the truth. Whole fruits are nature's desserts that are full of phenolic acids, vitamins, trace minerals, phytonutrients, flavonoids, enzymes, and fiber, all of which provide antioxidant, anti-inflammatory protection and other health benefits. Fruit juice, on the other hand, is just fruit-flavored sugar water with only a fraction of the nutrients found in whole fruits. When you eat whole fruits, you eat the flesh and the peel. That's where the fiber and all the nutrients are. When an entire fruit is digested, the flesh and peel containing the fiber prevent the blood sugar and insulin spikes, by releasing the sugar slowly into your bloodstream. And because the entire fruit goes through the digestion process, you feel full. On the other hand, when you drink just fruit juice, all the flesh and the peel is gone, no fiber, only a fraction of the nutrients, water, lots of sugar and empty calories. Without the flesh and the fiber to slow down the release of sugar into the bloodstream, you get an almost instant sugar spike. All that being said, it doesn't mean that you can eat all the fruits you want. Low fruit intake is the key if you have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. 5. You're still eating processed foods. Processed foods, commonly known as junk food, are laden with refined carbs, artificial sweeteners, sugar, sodium, trans fats, artificial flavors, emulsifiers, thickening agents, food additives and other health-wrecking chemicals. All junk food contain advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are good-tasting chemicals that result when exposed to sugar. Studies show that AGEs promote type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, heart disease, and aging. 6. You're still not exercising. You've probably heard and read about exercise being a main contributor to good health, especially in the prevention and management of chronic illnesses like diabetes, strokes, heart disease, hypertension, and cancer. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, when you exercise, you're promoting the absorption of the excess blood glucose by the hormone insulin into all your body's cells for energy. When your cells absorb the excess glucose in your blood sugar level will naturally fall. You can start exercising by simply brisk walking. 30 minutes of brisk walking every day will help get your blood sugar levels down. 7. The statin the doctor prescribed is causing your blood sugar to be elevated. Statins are commonly prescribed for people with elevated low-density lipoprotein, LDL, and triglyceride levels since these are the two primary markers for heart disease. In August, The Telegraph reported that researchers from Oxford University found that taking statins to lower elevated levels of LDL increases a person's risk of type 2 diabetes. In May 2015, Cardiology Clinics published a study that warned of the link between statin usage and increased risk of type 2 diabetes. The researchers wrote, clinical trial data suggest there is an increase in the incidence of new-onset type 2 diabetes mellitus with statin use. Another study published in the Cleveland Journal of Medicine reported that statin drugs now carry a U.S. Food and Drug Administration warning that they may increase the risk of diabetes mellitus and may worsen glycemic control in patients who already have diabetes. If your doctor has prescribed statins, Talk to him or her to let you try dietary and lifestyle approaches to get your lipid levels back to normal instead of using statins. My final note today. If you have prediabetes or diabetes, you just cannot have the cake and eat it, and I mean literally. If you're serious about getting your blood sugar down and your diabetes in check, start taking action today by going on the low-carb ketogenic diet.